knew something. I knew I had to be able to do something. Now I'm seeing that. Um. Okay. So yesterday I had it. I was finding it very difficult to do the portrait orientation for the YouTube feed. Today, and I was able to get reactions and live feeds. Today, I'm able to figure that out, and now I can't. What's it called? Live chats are not giving up on this. I have to figure it out. All right, between now and 8 o'clock. This is 7:36 already. So between now and top of the hour, he's very big. He's still very big on the news. We're hearing that even some officers are joining the M23 rebels, and that means that this thing is not going anytime soon. Congo is saying that the rebel uprising in the eastern part of the country has killed over 7,000 people. That's the official report. Of course, more people may have died that may not have been captured, in this report. That we'll be looking at as well. And Egypt is also in some sort of rival authority situation with Sudan. We'll also be looking at that. And of course, the military situation going on there, that we would also look at. And other stories, I'm hoping that I'm able to figure it out while we're still doing this. But in the event that I am not able to figure it out, tomorrow is another day. We go again. Abby? Yeah, that's the disposition to keep. We go again. We're not, losing faith in this. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock, we'll be switching things up, bringing it home to Nigeria. What is happening around the country? Nigeria. Anyway, as it concerns ATM, CBN, and POS people, we're hearing that charges may really go up. Charges may definitely go up in the coming days because, in fact, let's get to that story when it's time for it. Now, to African stories. So, we know that the country right now, top burner conversation country in Africa right now is DR Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, because of the unrest in that part of the continent. There is the M23 rebel forces insisting, and the Congo leadership also trying everything that they can to maintain peace in the country. But in the face of all of these, people are still dying. So we're hearing now that Congo leader is proposing a unity government in the face of the ongoing violence in the country. According to the leader, it's the only way that any change can be felt in the country, and that's the only way that the civil unrest can be doused. But whether or not it's going to be another holding talk situation, as I like to always, make reference to, is yet to be seen. This is a proposition, unity government, to be or not to be. But now we know that this is what the leadership of the country is saying. We've had leaders from other African countries give their opinions on how the situation can be tamed. Well, if we have the same situation going on and nobody is making any adjustments, people are still dying in their numbers, that may not be pegged as very effective, if you get what I mean. That may not be pegged as very effective. I think that's just the best way to say it. But now that the leadership of the country is coming out to say something, I hope that they do what they can to ensure, peace in their region. But we know for now that over 200 police officers and soldiers have joined M23 rebel in Bukavu. Anyway, the senior commissioner of the Congolese National Police, that's PNC, justified the move as he highlighted the poor working conditions of security forces in the country. Jackson Nkamba, he was the one who came out to speak. He said, yes, they acknowledge that police officers and some soldiers are joining the M23 rebel to keep skin on the back. Anyway, this is what he said. We were trained with the Congolese government's money, and I am Congolese. If the government provided the necessary resources, the police would be professional. We are being retrained to become a new kind of police force, one that doesn't have to intervene on foot or go into the field without having a meal. You see how the argument is always that poverty is actually a tool? Yeah. Or, when you're trying to take advantage of a situation that isn't right. I think that's what's going on right here, because I know that for a while in Nigeria, we had a similar situation as it concerned banditry and even the Boko Haram situation. Well, when it was in its very wild days, it was really crazy. Some women, according to reports, even took their children and enrolled them into what they called the training so that they could join banditry because the explanation was that there was more reward coming from these people, coming from these rebels, coming from terrorists, so to say. Now, according to Jackson Nkamba, who is Senior Commissioner of the Congolese National Police, he's justifying the fact that police officers, trained police officers of the Congolese government, as well as soldiers, are joining the rebel movement, the people that they're supposed to be fighting against. And his great explanation is that now they are being retrained to become a new kind of police, a new kind of police force, because they are promised a meal. They are promised that they would not have to fight on foot or go into the field without having a meal. I hope that whatever the situation is in Africa and other parts of the world where people are always used as tools, taking advantage of whatever circumstance they may be going through, hunger, poverty, basically situations that could have been handled differently. I hope that it is tamed as soon as possible, because in the end, the people are still the tools that the negative side of the divide will always use against the local people. It's really sad. Well, the defectors, according to further reports, will undergo training in Rumangabo. It's a part in North Kivu in DRC there. And the movement claims that it aims to establish a more disciplined and an effective police force in the areas under its control so far. It's really sad. It's really, really sad. Anyway, so far so good. I talk about the sadness of the situation because these people are still tagged rebels. They are still saying that they are the M23 rebels. But of course, the people who are tagged rebels explain that, they are just a revolutionary army of the Congo. I mean, it's going to have to be about what side of the divide that you're on. From the side of the government, these people are rebels. From the side of the people who are termed rebels, they are a revolutionary army of Congo. And they're emphasizing that their movement's commitment is about restoring security by disarming civilians. Anyway, as I said, it has to depend a lot on what side of the divide that you are on. But that's the situation so far. We also know that security situation is worsening in the country. The M23 has expanded its control. The Congolese army is urging people who are running away to return to their units. Meanwhile, we know for now that fighting has continued on ground. In an area, Lubero, for instance, we're hearing that the Congolese army is clashing very heavily with the M23, and that has led to widespread looting, worsening situation in the country. The security crisis is just getting worse. And the mass defection of police and military personnel to the M23 just shows further the division in the DRC's army and security parastatal, basically, where ongoing power struggles between the armed groups and the central government continue to just show instability and is fueling a lot of, unrest in the area. Anyway, that's the update from DR Congo. And as I said earlier, we just hope that whatever the situation is really tackled as fast as it can be. Now to Egypt, North Africa, very quickly. We know that the foreign minister, Badr Abdelati, has held discussions with Sudanese former minister Ali Youssef El-Sharif. And after their meeting, they tried to address the recent developments involving Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces, known as the RSF, and of course their allies. Well, the earlier conversation was that the RSF and their allies signed a charter to form a parallel government. And this is coming in the face of Sudan's army having a significant progress against viral factions. Anyway, Ali Youssef al Sharif, who is Foreign Minister Sudan, emphasized that no one will recognize the so-called parallel government to the Sudanese government. No, they will not take it seriously. But then again, as they say, it is from clapping that they begin to dance. Anyway, he further stated that Sudan does not accept any foreign recognition of this parallel government. The ceremony took place in Kenya. You know, the parallel government signing from that, you know, that was going to concern Sudan. They took themselves from Sudan and went to Kenya to go and sign, the RSF, what's it called? The parallel government thingy behind closed doors. It was actually a very controversial meeting. It drew controversy and criticism from the foreign ministry in the city's capital, Khartoum. Well, according to reports, the signatories claim that they aim to create a government that is focused on peace and on unity. There are also widespread concerns on human rights organizations and the international community regarding the RSF's alleged atrocities. There's been a situation since 2023, and they're still pointing fingers to RSF. That is, human rights organizations, international community are saying that RSF should be questioned, in what's it called? In relations to some of the atrocities that have been experienced in the area since April 2023. Anyway, we also know that the situation in Sudan, that's the war, has also resulted in thousands of deaths. Tens of thousands of deaths. In fact, according to reports, about 24,000 people have died and about 14 million people have been displaced. And that's about 30% of the population, according to United Nations reports. That's just massive. That's massive. And of course, the people in the country, I wanted to say people who are living in the country, but even locals, not just people who are living in the country alone, the people who are from the area have had to flee to neighboring countries. And that numbers to about 3.2 million people since the whole situation started. Just last week, the United Nations reported that Human Rights Office, that's a UN Human Rights Office in the area, recorded over 4,200 civilian deaths in 2024 alone. And the thing is that even the UN acknowledged that this may just be official reports. The reports that they don't have, the numbers that did not get to their table might just be higher than this 4,200 that we're hearing right now. Still a ripple effect of the executive order of President Trump. More countries are crying out. More countries are, hoping that there may just be a change or, just whatever the situation is. Still on Sudan, reports have it that nearly 2 million people will starve. Hunger, acute hunger, is what they may experience following U.S. aid cuts to Sudan. Remember the executive order? President Trump saying that he is not keen on, continuing with the aid and support to a lot of African countries and some other countries that are not necessarily in Africa, but poor enough to be needing these helps. Yeah, that move, people are still whining about it. South Africa complained, oh no, we're gonna die. Sudan, oh no, we're gonna die. Nigeria, a lot of countries. Ghana, in fact, it was about, in fact, the African countries should just do better for themselves. They should just do better for themselves, because there are countries still on the face of this earth who are not falling over themselves, groping and grappling for whatever, they quote unquote developed countries are ready to toss in their direction. So let's just do better for ourselves. It's sad that right now, it's like the rug being, perhaps they did not estimate that this was going to happen. They didn't foresee that this was going to happen. But I mean, it was just a no-brainer. At some point, someone who just gives and gives and gives might decide to not give anymore. You don't have anything on the giver. You cannot insist that you keep taking. Givers give out of their discretion. I know that, it is expected, it's just right, whatever explanation you give, right? I feel like some countries should be able to do the very least for their people. Well, Kenya is the next country we're looking at. We're hearing that they've received about 7 rare antelopes from the U.S. As one is going, another is coming, right? Yeah. Very rare species of antelopes have been gotten. Mountain bongo is a critically endangered antelope with less than just 100 in the wild. But so far, so good. More species are coming up. And this is hoping that this would preserve wildlife. It's Kenya, I mean. How would you even have conversation about safari and not mention Kenya? How do you have conversations about wildlife in Africa and not mention countries like Kenya? Nairobi. Memories. But let's just leave it at that. Anyway, this is really great. I mean, countries like Kenya, countries like Tanzania, it's just... Anyway. Okay, I think it's on that note that we might be rounding things off on news from around Africa. But just to say this very quickly, it's not just about rosy pictures from Kenya, as we're also hearing about a police officer that was killed when he was confronting gang members in Haiti. The officer is the first casualty that has been suffered by the Kenyan-led multinational security support mission. May he so rest in peace. Further investigations are ongoing as we speak, according to the reports. But anyway, we're just hoping that the full... Okay, so sorry, I just got a message, and that's sort of took my attention. So we just hope that this man get the justice that he needs, because this is just the face level report right now. I'm sure that further investigation will reveal exactly what it is that happened. Stay with us, Citizen FM 93.7. We'll be back in a bit with more stories from Nigeria. That'll be top of the hour, 8 o'clock. We just went through Africa now, so we'll be zooming our focus to stories from around Nigeria in a bit. As usual, we have some papers that we'll be looking at when it's time. We have Daily Trust, The Guardian, Punch, Daily Sun, This Day, Vanguard, Leadership, Independent, Tribune, News Direct, News Telegraph, and so on and so forth. Several of them, so stay with us.